Welcome back to Coast View. I really enjoyed that conversation with Martha Allen. Man, the work that she and Robert St. John's and so many others are doing to help feed people who are hungry in this state. It's just a great story. Hey, listen, if you're a regular listener to this show or you listen to my SuperTalk Outdoors show, you know this, that I'm a passionate fisherman. And for many, many years prior to starting a family, my friend Terry Waldrop and I fished in tournaments for over 20 years, including the Southern Kingfish Association along the way. And because of our relationship to the guy who was the executive director who owned at the time the SKA tournaments, we were able to kind of attract his attention in the coast of Mississippi. And a lot of relationships evolved out of that. We began to see more kingfish tournaments here. Bobby Carter, who you heard me and Tim Hinckley talk about it a few weeks ago, Bobby Carter began to really sort of redefine at the time the Alec Capri and the role that they were playing, and now through Golden Nugget, the role that that entity, that location was going to play in some of the top fishing tournaments in the Gulf of Mexico. And along the way, Bobby's son, Robbie, you may remember us visiting, actually, when he was just in his teens, actually, used to fish with Terry and me on some of the kingfish tournaments. He sort of kind of laid out a plan for himself. Ultimately, he now is doing fishing tournaments literally all over the United States, from Boston to Louisiana and many points in between. And I've asked him to come back because some of the most important tournaments here in coastal Mississippi, he actually runs them. So I wanted to catch up with him and get the latest from his world. So how you doing, Robbie?
Busy. We've got a full schedule over the next 7-8 months.
Yeah, it's going to be unbelievable. So, hey, just real quickly, so people can get a sense of the scale, what you've grown into, tell them the tournaments that you're doing now.
The easiest way, go to classicfishingevents.com, and you can see the whole lineup of what we're doing. From the event that's going on right now, the Louisiana Tuna and Wahoo Classic, through the Mississippi Gulf Coast Billfish Classic. I mean, everything that we have going on is right there, to explore, and hopefully you register.
Yeah, what you've done is you've brought some great partners into the conversation, and you've learned to take fishing tournaments to the next level. As it relates to Golden Nugget specifically, that's a really good venue to host an event, isn't it?
It's the best. It's the only event of its kind held at a casino. And you can get to it by water. It's full service. And that's why people come here, because we don't just have one casino. We've got a whole fleet of them, down the coastline. But it's just nonstop entertainment. So we really enjoy it. They enjoy it. And it's really exciting to invite people from out of town to come participate in our events, because that's over 90% of our participants are from out of state. So we know we've got quite an attraction on our hands.
Wow, that is cool, and they love it. One of the things about being on the Northern Gulf, whether you're fishing out of Louisiana or Mississippi Gulf Coast, we got an advantage because when you're fishing out of the Mississippi Gulf Coast, you come back to the harbor and you're walking distance away from doing some amazing things. That's a big advantage. So what I often say, and you've heard me say this before when you joined me on my other show, that Mississippi is the capital of the outdoors in America, and the reason we are is because what we have access to, some of the best hunting in the world, some of the best fishing in the world. You add it all up, and it is incredible what people can experience who come here to fish in tournaments, isn't it?
It really is. It's I guess as far as we have downtown Ocean Springs, we've got Margaritaville. We've got something for everybody here.
Yeah.
And it just makes it convenient.
Robbie, what does it take to put on? Let's just talk about the Mississippi Gulf Coast Billfish Classic, which has become one of the top, if not the top, billfish events in the Gulf of Mexico. What does it take to pull that off?
A lot of patience and a lot of healthy relationships in the fishing community. You've got people that are coming to spend that kind of money to fish a tournament. They really gravitate towards everything that we do because we've been doing it for so long. It's a year-round project, put it that way. The event is a week, but you're working all year long to make that week, be successful.
Yeah, I can't downplay one of your, I would say maybe if there's a competitive advantage, is your ability to develop relationships with these boat owners and these fishermen. And I mean, it's real though. It's not something that's you just kind of fake it and you have a good tournament. These are literally year-round relationships where you're communicating back. Even when they're in other tournaments, they're still communicating with you, and
or they're at home watching football. They love to talk, smack about LSU football against me whenever my Gulf Shores, Orange Beach teams. I don't know. But these are my friends. It's not. They're not just people showing up out of nowhere. I've got a relationship with all of them, and it's like it says, it's a year long. It's a marriage.
Yeah. Hey, you've got your teams sitting there with you. So give me a sense of who's in the room with us.
All right, come here. I have the lineup here. All right, you actually might know some of these individuals.
Yeah, sure.
Colin here. Colin, introduce yourself.
How's it going, guys? I'm Colin McQuilkin. I do projection mapping, visual arts, branding for events, basically. So we're here discussing different ways to, behind the Golden Nugget, potentially project on the walls, which way we could project different videos of guys fishing, different corporate sponsorships, as well as talking about projecting on to boats and projecting mapping on the boats as well, just to highlight it and add just visual elements to the event.
Yeah, and technology has come so far that really enable that. It gives you the opportunity to take it to the next level and take it to the next level. And really, how far you can take it is really dependent upon your imagination, isn't it?
You just nailed it. That's what we're just discussing about how to elevate this event. And, I think we got to, just basic, we have to go to the site, check it out, walk it, and see how we could, highlight different parts throughout the event. But I think, we're just scratching the surface. We just sat down for about 15 minutes. So. Yeah,
that's awesome. Hey, so Robbie, who else is? It's good to meet you, incidentally.
Yeah.
Robbie, who else is in there?
We got Fred Salinas over here.
Hey.
Yes.
Hi.
So, what's your contribution, my friend?
Content creation, website builds.
So all those websites you see on classic fishing events, everything we got going on, he's responsible for building it. I just send all the text messages to fix things.
But I tell you what's interesting about Robbie, though. Robbie, and this is kind of part of his story, but the evolution of taking photos and posting the photos and then really engaging social media was kind of the beginning of his claim to fame and what he was going to contribute to this. And by doing that, he actually developed all these amazing relationships. And there's actually no one in this community that he doesn't know. Do you sense that in working with him?
Oh, for sure. For sure. I always like to surround myself with people that elevate my game, and he definitely helps elevate my game. And I think us all working together, we're all dedicated to bringing top tier event to the coast, and we all have a passion for the Mississippi Gulf Coast, and we all try our best, in different ways to attract people, whether it be lighting or whether it be, my buddy Trevor over here does a lot of stuff with downtowns and,
Trevor,
Robbie fishing tournaments.
Yeah. Hey, by the way, the classicfishingevents.com website, classicfishingevents.com website, it's really well done. I've spent some time there kind of boring down on the various tournaments, and you've got it's a great landing page, and you can get all the information you need if anybody's interested in learning more about it. But great job. Great job. Who else is in the room, my friend?
We got Trevor.
Hey, how you doing?
Hey, how you doing? What's your role, buddy?
Mainly, I support Fred. I mean, I'm a kind of digital media guru, so whenever Fred needs extra hands or extra help, photography and all that stuff, Fred's my boss. So, and then I do a lot of networking, downtown Ocean Springs networking, and then I work for a couple other marinas on the Mississippi Gulf Coast with Captain Al's Steak and Seafood and McElroy's Harbor House and stuff like that. So, just digital networking and helping out.
Yeah, well, that's cool. It's good to meet you. Robbie, it's coming back to you. It's interesting. It takes a village to do this well. It's not just the on-the-ground help you have to just put the event on, but there's an expectation from those who are participating that they can be engaged online and through social media and engage their networks online and through social media. Gosh, that's like one of the most important parts of the overall experience, isn't it?
You've got to be digitally savvy. The days of watching everything on TV is deceased. Everyone's on their phones, so you've got to have something getting their attention. And it's daily. We've got something going out about one of our events 1 or 2 times a day across all the different platforms. You want people engaged and just constantly stay in their face.
Well, what reminded me actually that you and I needed to visit, in fact, was some of the social media stuff that you're doing. For example, boats that are going to participate in upcoming tournaments, posting a picture of those boats and just kind of keeping it top of mind for people. And I bet that's all you got to do to remind people, oh, wait a minute, I gotta get registered. Hey, when we do this, we're visiting with Robbie Carter, who's sort of the brains behind some of the most successful fishing tournaments in the U.S., for that matter, certainly here in coastal Mississippi. When we get on the other side, we'll talk a little bit more about what's coming up. We'll see you after this. Welcome back to Coast View. It's a pleasure to have you joining us on 103.1 or someone watching on Facebook or YouTube or your favorite podcast. We really appreciate you engaging the show. I love spending time with Robbie because I literally watched him grow up. He used to go, tournament fishing with us, and we had some good times together, didn't we, Robbie? I
got a lot of photos. Next time we do a segment, I got some photos to bring out of the woodworks for you. Just jean shorts.
I bet you do, man. But we ran some long runs, didn't we, buddy?
My first memorable experience is when we hooked that left with that Donzi. It was the twin 250 Mariners, and I had to turn my head to get a breath.
Yeah,
what did I just get myself into?
At the time we actually had one of the faster boats. Now the fountains were fast, but they handled the rough seas better than that. I think that was the 30-foot Donzi, and then later we had a 34 with triples. But
it was a 28. It was 28.
Oh yeah, right. I remember that boat, for a matter of fact. So yeah, we got into rough water. We had to slow down because it would just skip on top of the waves. But we had some good times together. Hey, but coming back now, so the tournaments that are happening in Mississippi, I want to cover a couple other really new events that you're doing. But the tournaments that are happening just in Mississippi, when are they?
We've got the Mississippi Gulf Coast Billfish Classic and the Kingmaster presented by Yellowfin. They'll go back-to-back weeks.
Yeah.
And Kingmaster will follow Biloxi this year.
Yeah, the Kingmaster is what a great event. That's turned out to be a big one, hasn't it?
It brought it back to life. It faded out in the early 2000s, and Mark Moss with Simrad and Bill Platt with Yamaha and the guys over at Yellowfin. They they're like, why don't you do more fishing tournaments? And we made it happen, and we're going into our 5th year.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm glad to see it. And boy, what those guys at Yellowfin and really the other boats as well, that what they've done in the fishing, the competitive fishing tournament boats, the fast, amazing. But the technology just keeps getting more and more advanced every year, doesn't it?
You got outboards with 600s.
Yeah, and that's something, man. So what you saw this movement toward a bunch of motors, and then what you're seeing now is a movement back to maybe a couple of motors, because you've got these higher horsepower motors. So it's so interesting to see how that technology changes. Okay, so look, you've actually got a non-fishing tournament event coming up. So if your specialty is events, why do you just do fishing tournaments? Why not use those core skill sets to do other things? And so you just got one approved. Tell us about it.
It's called the Mississippi Taco Fest. I've always wanted to do something outside of fishing, and my buddy Fred here. This was his idea, by the way.
Show us his arm.
Here we go.
Okay, for the radio audience, what he's showing us is a taco. He has a taco tattoo on his forearm. And if you're going to do a taco championship, you want the guy with the taco
that's right.
tattoo on his arm.
He gives us street credit.
So tell me about that. It's been approved for the city, right?
Yeah, so how it came about, Kingmaster, we have the Billfish tournament. We've got the yachts, the big fish and everything. It's tough to get a crowd out to come see king mackerel. I mean, it is. Yeah. So we have all of this space blocked off in the marina. And so people are like, why don't you do a barbecue festival? I'm like, that's the Shed's job. Why don't you do a crawfish boil? I was like, that's Louisiana. Then Fred was like, why don't we do a taco fest? Everyone loves taco and tequilas. So we went over to spoke with Rachel Quave and Fofo, and you gave them a plan. And what we want to do is the final day of the weigh-in for Kingmaster, June 17th, the rest of that marina area behind the Nugget, is going to be blocked off for a taco and tequila festival. And right now, we're going over just the pricing, the ticket pricing, and we're going to unveil that next week. And it's going to be fun. I mean, who doesn't like, tacos and tequila? But the backdrop will be the marina.
And I love it because on the final weigh-in for the King Mackerel tournament, you'll have, people there. I mean, that's what a win.
The whole space will be filled, which is great for the city and especially for the marina, because Rachel is awesome for Point Cadet, and the way that her plans are to expand and just revamp the whole marina. We want lots of activity back there, and then we got Alan here, elevating us and just painting the backdrop of the back of the casino. We're going in the right direction.
Yeah, that's exciting to hear, Robbie. One other, in the short time we have left, you actually have another fishing tournament. You're actually branching out into Texas.
Going into Texas. So starting tomorrow, I'll be driving to South Padre. And we're going to do the Texas Gulf Coast Billfish Classic. And we're going to have multiple weigh stations down the Texas coastline, July 26th to the 30th. So tomorrow I'll drive down to South Padre. It's about a 12-hour drive, and do site visits and just work my way up to Port Aransas, Port O'Connor, Galveston, and Surfside, and then I'll see you on Sunday.
Yeah, that is so cool, Robbie. I'm proud of you, my man. It's been fun watching your excitement for the subject, and I'm not surprised to see you branching out into other events that complement the events that you're doing, because you have a skill set to put on events, and you've really helped keep Mississippi on the map with the fishing community. But we're out of time. It's been a pleasure to catch up with you and your team.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
No question.
Hey, next time you're ready, let's rock and roll.
Yeah, no doubt about it. It's been my old friend, Robbie Carter. Listen, have a great day, and we'll see you tomorrow.